You wake up. You check your phone before your feet even hit the floor. An email, a notification, maybe a bill. Your day has already started reacting before you've made a single choice of your own. Now picture a different morning. Someone wakes up 3 hours before they have to. No phone, no noise. Just 15 minutes of quiet thinking before the world gets a vote in how their day goes. That person is far more likely to end up wealthy than you are. And it has almost nothing to do with luck. For 5 years, an accountant and financial planner named Thomas Corley tracked the daily behavior of 233 wealthy people and 128 people struggling financially. Of those 233, 177 hadn't inherited a cent. They built it themselves. Corley wasn't looking for a motivational story. He was looking for patterns. And he found the same handful of behaviors showing up again and again in people who had never met each other, in different industries, on different continents. That's the part that should stop you. Not one genius doing one brilliant thing. Dozens of ordinary-looking people, independently, doing the same 13 boring things. So what are they? The first is waking up early, not for hustle culture bragging rights, but for silence. Nearly half of Corley's self-made millionaires woke at least 3 hours before their workday began. Not to check email. To think, which brings you to the second habit. Dedicated thinking time, 15 to 30 minutes a day, alone, with no input, no podcast, no scrolling. Just sitting with a question and letting your own brain answer it. Most people never do this. Their brain is never actually theirs. It's rented out to notifications all day long. The third habit is reading. And the number here is almost uncomfortable. Over 85% of the self-made millionaires in Corley's study read at least 2 books a month. Not fiction to escape. Non-fiction to absorb. Warren Buffett, one of the most successful investors alive, has said for decades that reading is the closest thing he has to a competitive advantage. He reportedly spends up to 80% of his working day reading reports, filings, and books. He didn't get lucky into that habit. He built it, one afternoon at a time, for over 70 years. Fourth, they write things down. A daily list, and they finish at least 70% of it. Not because a list is magic. Because a list moves decisions out of the moment of doing and into a calmer moment of planning, which matters more than you'd think. And you'll see exactly why in a minute. Fifth, exercise. Not for vanity. 76% of Corley's wealthy group worked out at least 4 times a week, because a tired body produces a tired brain, and a tired brain makes worse decisions. Notice something about all 5 habits so far. None of them happen at work. They happen before work, in the hour most people spend snoozing an alarm or reaching for a phone. That's not a coincidence, it's the entire point. The version of you that shows up at 9 a.m. has already been shaped by what you did, or didn't do, at 6 a.m. And this is where the story stops being about self-made millionaires from one accountant study and starts looking exactly like the behavior of the world's actual billionaires today. Here's the reframe. You've probably pictured a billionaire's daily life as something loud. Private jets. Extravagant decisions made on instinct and confidence. But look closer, and it's almost the opposite. It's quiet. It's repetitive. It's deliberately boring. Jeff Bezos has said publicly that he protects 8 hours of sleep every night, not as self-care, but as a business decision. A tired executive makes small, mediocre choices all day. A rested one makes a handful of brilliant ones. He reserves late morning, 10 to noon, for what he calls his high IQ hours. The only time he schedules anything that requires real judgment. Everything else gets pushed away from that window on purpose. That's habit 6. They protect their best hours like money, because attention is the one resource you can't borrow more of. Habit 7 is something behavioral economist Daniel Kahneman spent his career explaining. In his research on decision-making, the foundation of what's now called prospect theory, Kahneman showed that the human brain runs on two systems, a fast, instinctive one, and a slow, deliberate one. Left alone, most people run almost every decision through the fast system, especially when they're tired, which is exactly when the fast system is wrong, most often. Self-made wealth isn't about having better instincts. It's about knowing exactly when not to trust your instincts at all. Which explains habit 8. And it might be the strangest one on this list. They remove decisions on purpose. Mark Zuckerberg wore the same gray t-shirt for years, and when asked why, he said something that sounds almost too simple to be a wealth strategy. That he didn't want to waste energy on trivial decisions when he had more important ones to make for the people who depend on him. Steve Jobs did the same with his black turtleneck. It wasn't a fashion statement. It was a withdrawal from decision fatigue, a real, documented psychological cost that builds every time your brain has to choose between two options. Even options as small as what shirt to put on. Now, picture your own morning again, the one from the start of this video. 15 small decisions before 8 a.m. What to wear, what to eat, whether to check the account balance now or later, whether to open that bill or ignore it one more day. Each one feels tiny. None of them are free. That's habit 9. They build routines specifically to eliminate small decisions, so the big ones get full attention instead of leftover energy. Habit 10 follows directly from it. They protect their calendar the way most people protect their bank account. Steve Jobs was famous for ending meetings early, sometimes mid-sentence, the moment he felt they'd lost purpose. Not out of rudeness, because time spent in a purposeless meeting is money and attention leaking out of a system, and once it's gone, it doesn't come back. The exact same way an unnecessary subscription quietly drains an account every single month without ever announcing itself. Habit 11. They treat professional reading as part of the job, not extra credit. 79% of Corley's self-made group read industry material to stay sharp in their specific field, on top of the general nonfiction reading. Staying current isn't optional to them. It's maintenance. The same way you'd never skip an oil change and expect the engine to last. Habit 12 is patience with money specifically. Buffett has said the stock market is a device for transferring money from the impatient to the patient. It's not a clever quote. It's a mechanism. Every study on long-term index investing shows the same curve. The wealth doesn't come from timing the market. It comes from staying in it, decade after decade, while everyone else panics and exits at exactly the wrong moment. And the 13th habit ties every one of the previous 12 together. They review their own decisions, regularly, without ego. They ask what worked, what didn't, and what to change. The same 15 minutes of quiet thinking from habit 2, just pointed backward instead of forward. Here's the counterintuitive twist. None of these 13 things require money to start. Not one. You don't need capital to wake up earlier. You don't need a fortune to read for 20 minutes before bed, or to protect 2 hours of your day from noise, or to stop deciding what to wear every single morning. These are the cheapest habits in the entire world, and that's exactly why almost nobody keeps them. They don't feel urgent. They don't feel dramatic. There's no adrenaline in going to bed on time. Compare two versions of the same Tuesday. In the first, you wake up to an alarm you've already snoozed twice. Scroll for 10 minutes before standing up. Decide what to wear while half-dressed. Skip breakfast because there's no time now. And walk into your first obligation of the day already behind. By 10 a.m., you've made 30 small decisions. And not one of them was about anything that actually moves your life forward. In the second version, you wake up before the alarm. 15 minutes of quiet thinking. A short read. A list, written the night before, already telling you what today is for. By 10 a.m., you've made exactly one real decision, because the other 30 were already handled last night, by a version of you that wasn't tired. That's not a personality difference. That's a systems difference, and systems can be copied by anyone, starting tonight. So the truth isn't that 177 self-made millionaires and the billionaires who still behave the same way today discovered some secret system unavailable to you. The truth is almost the opposite, and it's a little uncomfortable to sit with. The system was always available. It was just boring enough that almost everyone skipped it in favor of waiting for a bigger break that was never coming. Which brings you back to that phone, the one you checked before your feet hit the floor this morning. It's still there. The notifications are still waiting, but so is the 15 minutes you haven't taken yet. The same 15 minutes that, repeated for years instead of days, is the actual difference between the two people you imagined at the very start of this video.